12 years.
12
got
years.
out, interviewed, said he kept it real, brought him cars, gave him 50,000.
Right.
This. Made mention that
They say the streets never lie, and right now, there are serious whispers going around about a betrayal within Lil Durk's crew. It is always the people closest to you, the ones you trust the most, who end up hurting you. In a shocking twist, an OTF member is being accused of turning against Durk and playing a role in his recent federal arrest. Reports suggest that Lil Durk may have been linked to a murder-for-hire plot because of information given by none other than an OTF affiliate. According to the Express Tribune, the informant, named OTF Jam, had been secretly working with the authorities for years, collecting evidence against Durk. His cooperation allegedly connects Durk to an attempted hit on Quando Rondo, which eventually led to the tragic murder of Luli. What makes this even more shocking is that OTF Jam supposedly wore a wire for all of those years without anyone noticing. Jam had spent 12 years in prison for attempted murder and was released in 2022. When he returned, he was welcomed back by OTF and appeared to be loyal. But all along, he had been secretly feeding information to the authorities. Now, many people are questioning the loyalty of those around Durk, and the streets are buzzing with disbelief over the betrayal. The news about the betrayal spread fast, and people quickly started reacting. One of the first to report it was on Twitter, revealing that an OTF member had been exposed for wearing a wire. The internet exploded with comments. Some people made jokes about how Jam managed to hide a wire for so long, while others pointed out that today's technology is much more advanced. Now, informants can use sensitive voice recorders or even their own phones to gather information. As one person said, every device around you is a wire. The news also caught the attention of Wack 100, who discussed it in a recent interview. He was shocked that after spending so many years in prison, Jam came home to gifts, respect, and loyalty from OTF, only to betray the people who had supported him. This story has caused a stir, making people question loyalty, trust, and the dangerous games people play in street politics. Now that Lil Durk is facing serious legal trouble, many are wondering if the downfall of OTF was planned from the inside. As DJ Vlad pointed out, OTF Jam's story is even more complicated than anyone thought. After spending 12 years in prison for attempted murder, Jam was locked up from 2010 until his release in 2022, the same year Lil P was murdered. Since being released, reports claim he secretly recorded conversations and gathered information on Lil Durk and OTF. This information reportedly led to Durk's recent arrest. Wack 100 was not the only one calling out this betrayal. This shocking news has left many questioning the loyalty within the group and what it means for OTF moving forward. Jam's alleged role as an informant has become a huge topic in the hip-hop world, especially now that Lil Durk is facing serious legal problems. The streets are talking and questioning how deep this betrayal really goes. Things got even more complicated when an interview from 2023 with OTF Jam came back into the spotlight. In the interview, he spoke with DJ Jerry and talked about his past with Lil Durk. Jam shared how Durk had supported him financially and emotionally while he was in prison. He also mentioned how Durk's music kept him motivated and reminded him of their bond before fame and money changed everything. "I remember when Durk was just making music for our parties," Jam said. "That was my bro, back before all this." Although Jam did not directly respond to the accusations of working with the FBI, his words showed a sense of trust and loyalty, things that now seem to have been broken. What used to be a close friendship is now a warning to others, showing that in the streets, sometimes the biggest threats come from those closest to you. This betrayal has left many people wondering who can truly be trusted and what the future holds for Lil Durk and his crew.
Lil Durk has been arrested and charged with a murder-for-hire plot. The Chicago native, whose real name is Durk Banks, was arrested in Florida by the U.S. Marshals Service.
When OTF Jam was released from prison, rumors quickly spread that Lil Durk had given him $50,000 to help him get back on his feet and cover legal costs. Durk even mentioned it in one of his songs, though the exact track is not clear. In an interview with DJ Jerry, OTF Jam confirmed the rumor was true. This adds another layer to the story. Durk helped him financially, but it seems Jam turned around and allegedly played a part in Durk's downfall. Jam admitted, he ain't got to ask. Bro, he gave you 50, bro, you know the facts. When Jam left prison, no one expected him to betray Durk. He was welcomed back into the group, but Durk didn't see this betrayal coming. It's always hardest to spot betrayal when it comes from someone who has been through so much with you. How could you suspect someone close to you? Someone who shared the same struggles? Think about it. Jam had been locked up for 12 years. Durk helped him the whole time, making sure he ate well and treated him like family. Finally, when Jam got out, he stepped into a lifestyle he had always dreamed about. But soon after, he got hit with a gun charge. Now he was facing 8 years, 5 for the gun and 3 for the violation. That is not easy, especially after just getting a taste of the good life. But the truth is, the feds will not protect your family or your freedom. There are rumors going around that Lil Durk gave OTF Jam $50,000 to help him start fresh after he was released from prison. However, Jam's actions since then have raised many questions. While Jam seemed to be enjoying his freedom and sharing secrets, Durk found himself arrested. The trust and loyalty that once held OTF together are now being questioned. Did prison change Jam? Or was this betrayal something that was always going to happen? Durk, whose real name is Durk Banks, was arrested in Florida by the U.S. Marshals Service. His arrest shocked many people in the hip-hop world. He now faces serious federal charges related to an alleged murder-for-hire plot involving the death of Lil Tim, a close associate of Quando Rondo. If you are starting to put things together, it all begins to make more sense. In 2022, Durk's group is said to have crossed state lines to target Quando Rondo's circle, which led to the shooting death of Lil Tim in Los Angeles. 5 people have now been arrested in connection with the shooting, and they have been charged with conspiracy to commit murder. This event is believed to be a form of revenge for the 2020 murder of Durk's close friend, King Von, who was shot outside a hookah lounge in Atlanta. The authorities have been building their case against Durk and his crew for some time now. It is clear that the feds were focused on Durk from the beginning. What once seemed like a betrayal within the group has now turned into a much larger and more serious situation. As the legal process continues, it is becoming even more complicated and dangerous for everyone involved. As the situation unfolded, the authorities were not focusing on small players. They were after the big fish. Many people had already suspected that Lil Durk had something to do with the retaliation, but they needed proof. This is where OTF Jam became important. As a trusted insider, Jam had access to everything, and authorities believe he wore a wire. With this wire, the authorities were able to gather the evidence they needed. Once they had what they were looking for, Durk's world began to fall apart. The U.S. Marshals arrested him, and he is now being held in Broward County Correctional Facility in Florida, waiting to be transferred to California. DJ Academics was one of the first people to share the news, even showing Durk's jail records live on stream. Soon after, he tweeted that the 32-year-old rapper had been arrested, and his mugshot quickly spread online. This moment could mark one of the most difficult times in Durk's career. Durk founded Only the Family OTF in 2010. He always insisted that it was a record label, not a gang. However, the charges against 5 OTF members suggest something different. On October 17th, prosecutors charged several people, including Kane London and Grant Diender, with planning to kill Quando Rondo in 2022. They allegedly did this to get revenge for the murder of King Von. Now that Durk is in jail and facing serious charges, many people are wondering if OTF was ever really about loyalty or if betrayal was always hiding beneath the surface. The case against Durk has taken a serious turn, and new federal documents have revealed more details about the murder-for-hire plot connected to the death of Lil Tim, Quando Rondo's cousin. As the situation continues to unfold, everyone is left wondering, could this be the end of OTF? Although Lil Durk was not named in the original October 17th indictment, his recent arrest has now confirmed his direct involvement in the case. The indictment charges 5 people: Dantrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and ASA Houston, accusing them of being behind the planned attack. Prosecutors claimed that these individuals were part of a larger conspiracy, which included OTF affiliates who placed a bounty on Quando Rondo. However, the attack ended tragically with the death of Rondo's cousin, Lil Tim. Reports indicate that members of OTF used a credit card linked to their record label to purchase plane tickets from Chicago to California after discovering Quando Rondo's location. Authorities believe this shooting was an act of revenge for the 2020 killing of King Von, who was a close friend of Lil Durk. The federal complaint that was recently unsealed goes beyond seeing OTF as just a music group. It describes the organization as a criminal enterprise. Prosecutors argue that OTF, under Durk's leadership, has been involved in violent crimes, including the 2020 attempted murder of Quando Rondo. This new legal filing takes things even further by directly accusing Lil Durk of ordering the 2022 attack on Quando Rondo's camp in retaliation for King Von's death. It also highlights the public feud between Durk and Quando Rondo at the time of the shooting. To add to the tension, reports say Durk had plans to leave the country before his arrest. After the arrest of 5 of his OTF affiliates, authorities found out that Durk had booked flights to Dubai and Switzerland. However, he never boarded the planes, which raised many more questions about his actions. Then, the real shock came when the FBI received information that Durk had reportedly arranged a private jet to Italy, but just before it was about to take off, he was arrested. With everything that is coming to light, it is becoming clear that OTF is now under serious federal investigation, much like other high-profile cases involving famous artists such as Lil Wayne and Young Thug. Prosecutors have suggested that Durk, along with others, had placed bounties on people they wanted to target, including Quando Rondo, and promised large payments or music deals to those who carried out the hits. The situation is becoming more and more serious for Durk. If the authorities can prove that he was behind the attack on Quando Rondo's camp, this could be the start of a major case against both him and OTF. Federal prosecutors have revealed a detailed plot connected to a murder-for-hire scheme, which allegedly ties Durk and his crew to a deadly shooting that took place in Los Angeles in 2022. This case is now being linked to a long-standing feud that started with the 2020 killing of King Von. The indictment also reveals that OTF members used a credit card connected to their group to book flights for the trip to California. They allegedly planned the murder of Quando Rondo's cousin, Lil Tim, as revenge. The same card was also used to reserve hotel rooms for the shooters. What makes this situation even more suspicious is that the card was connected to Durk's former manager, and another card from the same account had been issued to Durk's father. As the investigation continues, things are looking worse for Durk. The evidence is pointing to a much larger plot, and it is clear that this is just the beginning of a much bigger story. The truth behind everything that happened is still being uncovered, but it is clear that there are many more layers to this case. Co-conspirator 2 reportedly fired multiple shots at TB's vehicle, but tragically, they ended up killing Lil Tim, also called Senior, in the case documents, instead of hitting their target. Back in 2022, rumors on the streets suggested that someone had given up Quando Rondo's location, and now the court papers seem to confirm this. According to the documents, on August 18, 2022, co-conspirator 4 found out that TB was in Los Angeles and staying at a hotel. The group, driving 2 cars, one of which had no license plate, stopped at a gas station and attacked. They fired 18 shots at TB's car, hitting and killing Lil Tim. After the attack, the group met at a restaurant to split the payment for the hit. But they made a big mistake. They used the same OTF-linked credit card to book flights back to Chicago just hours after the shooting. This mistake helped investigators connect the crime back to them. The court documents now show that this shooting is part of a pattern of revenge that started with the tragic death of King Von in 2020. That shooting, which involved Quando Rondo's group, created a major rift between OTF and Rondo's people. Federal investigators believe the 2022 murder of Lil Tim was a direct act of revenge for Von's death, allegedly planned by Lil Durk. This case is very serious. If Lil Durk is found guilty, he could face life in prison. The impact of his arrest is already being felt. Just weeks before his arrest, Durk was honored in Illinois for his work with his Neighborhood Heroes Foundation and even received keys to the city. Lil Durk had been honored for his charitable work by both the village of Broadview and the village of Bellwood. However, after his arrest, everything changed quickly. Broadview's mayor, Katrina Thompson, took back the honorary key she had given to Durk and ended all connections between the village and his foundation. She explained that, although the legal system follows the rule of innocent until proven guilty, the community expected a higher moral and ethical standard. This case serves as a harsh reminder of how dangerous gang ties can be. The hip-hop community had already been deeply affected by the tragic loss of King Von, and now, the cycle of violence and revenge has only made things worse. Durk, who once seemed on track to escape the streets through his music, now faces the very real possibility of spending his entire life in prison. The streets that helped him become famous may now end up taking everything away from him. On November 6, 2020, King Von and his crew were spending the night at the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, a popular spot in the city. At the same time, Quando Rondo and his group were also there. The tension between the two groups had been growing, but no one could have predicted what would happen next. As the night went on, a fight broke out between them. Surveillance footage showed King Von stepping up to Quando Rondo outside the club and, without hesitation, throwing the first punch. That punch started a wild brawl between the two groups.